Alright everyone, welcome to the Droughtlanders theme analysis. Alright, so The Droughtlanders is a fiction novel written by Canadian author Carrie Mack. It focuses on the lives of twin brothers Eli and Seth Maddox. Now, the novel is set in a post-apocalyptic world where, the reader gets to see that there's two factions, the Keylanders and the Droughtlanders, that are trying to rebuild society. Now, the Keylanders are a group of individuals who are very innovative and resourceful, and that allows them to survive and adapt in the new post-apocalyptic setting. They have a machine called the Clown Miner, which allows them to water their crops at will and, give them thirst, to quench their thirst at will as well with the rain. Now, the Droughtlanders, on the other hand, they find themselves in a tougher situation. See, they don't have something like the Cloud Miner. In fact, the Cloud Miner actually takes the water away from the Droughtlanders and gives it to the Keylanders. So really, the Keylanders just make the Droughtlanders' lives a lot harder. Um, you know, the Droughtlanders find themselves secluded from the Keys, and they're feared by the Keys population. And of course, because of this, the Keylanders don't even see the Droughtlanders to be human. And so what happens is almost like Roman barbarian complex. The barbarians go up and they say, "Hey, I want to be like that guy. How come we can't be as advanced as the Romans?" And the Romans look down and say, "Oh, well, those barbarians are just a bunch of scum. They're dumb. Let's just take them in and throw them in a coliseum and watch them fight to the death against a lion or against disease or against each other." And that's exactly what the Keylanders do. They develop that Roman complex, and the Droughtlanders develop that barbarian complex. One hates the other, and the other hates the other. Except one hates one faction because they see them as incompetent, while the other sort of envies the freedoms that have been stripped away from them. Um, so there's one theme that's is seen early in this novel, right out of the gate, is pretty much discrimination. It's separated in two factions, the Keylanders and the Droughtlanders, and they both, like I said, they don't really like each other. The Droughtlanders are perceived as being worthless, not worthy of the title of being human, while the Keylanders are seen as being elitist thugs and murderers and things of that basis. In reality, though, these are stereotypes. We have stereotypes everywhere. You can say, "Oh well, the Italian, he eats hard bread. He has no paper, blah blah blah." You can say that the Canadian, plays hockey all the time, eats his maple syrup, just stands there idly by and says he's peacekeeping, or the American that runs into the middle of a bomb fest because he loves war and killing people so much, or the Russian that, hails Stalin because he's just Russian and that makes him a commie. Like, those are all stereotypes. And, the majority of these stereotypes, they're misguided. That's why we call them stereotypes. They're not universal truths. Um, and think about it this way: in the book, there's only two factions, two countries, but in reality, there's 195, and with each 195 countries that are living in the world today, they all have their own culture and they all have their own stereotypes. So there's a lot of discrimination going around in our world. Um, and one of the things that you want to look at in like a smaller scale level for teenagers to understand is stereotypes at school. Um, you know, you have like the preps and the jocks and the nerds and all of those things. You have the preps, you're like, "Oh, we're sociable, we go out, we drink, we're not going to go out there and play a video game or something like that. We're just going to do what's socially acceptable. We'll be a bunch of socialites." Then you have the nerds who, they're said to be playing Dungeons and Dragons and, staying on their computers 24/7, not coming out of the house, liking school. The jocks are said to be dumb and just focus on football and hockey and basketball and all those things. But you know what? I really don't classify myself to be anything because I don't really have a clique. I try and fit in with all the cliques. I try to talk to everyone. It doesn't really work out because I don't have a plethora of things in common with other people. I have some things. I try to be funny. Sometimes I am. Sometimes I epically fail. And that's good enough for me. And when I'm talking to these people from these different cliques, what I notice is that, they're all genuinely good people. I haven't met a single evil person in my entire life. In fact, I'm starting to doubt that there are any outside of guys like Hitler. And What I don't understand is why people don't just try and talk to each other. I mean, sure, you don't have the same social life as one another, you don't have as many things in common as you would, but there's no reason to senselessly hate one another just because of what one likes and what one dislikes. How can you hate a person if they're genuinely good? I never understand that. But you know what? I came to the realization that it's just brought down through stereotyping people, through a systematic series of discrimination, even at the high school level. Um, Another one of the themes that is brought up in this novel, it's a very good novel, by the way, Droughtlanders, is just our our like love for violence and watching people in pain. I mean, when you look at it, you see in the novel that there's this entire circus that's set up in Keyland, and it just houses multiple people that are from Droughtland, and the entire purpose is like they'll perform high danger stunts in order to entertain the Keyland audience. And some days there'll be protection, like protective nets that will catch them if they fall, and other days there'll be nothing at all. So you'll see people like fall off and crack their neck or crack their leg, and at the beginning of the novel, a kid actually falls down and he gets seriously injured at the beginning. And this is like just like the Romans again. I mean, the Romans like to put anyone who was not them in the Colosseum and watch them die. And even today, we still have an obsession with violence. And the thing is, we like watching violence when we're not emotionally attached to it. So that's what the Romans did. That's what the Keylanders did. And that's what we do. We watch an actor on TV, he gets shot, killed, or he gets tortured. We're not emotionally attached to it, so we don't have an emotional response. We get some sort of sick, sadistic entertainment from watching it. Even I've gone that before. I enjoy watching violent movies, but you know what? Would I enjoy watching violence if it happened to my own family? That I don't think so. So the human mind's a little weird thing here. How many people have watched failed videos? There's thousands of them on the internet with millions of views, and people watch them all the time. We get laughs from them. I've gone laughs from them. You've probably gone laughs from them. Hell, the majority of people have. And if you think about it, if that's someone if that's you in that position, you would not be laughing. So why do we laugh? Yeah, it's pretty much just like what Agent Smith from The Matrix said. He said, "Did you know the first Matrix was to be made a world where none suffered? Thousands of crops, which were people, they called them crops, were lost. Some believe the lack of programming language to describe your perfect world. But I believe that as species, human beings define reality through suffering and misery. Their perfect world was a dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to awake from, which is why the Matrix was redesigned to the peak of your civilization." So, this is exactly like the Droughtlanders and the Keylanders. So they were in a post-apocalyptic world. They had the chance to get away from pain, to get away from discrimination, to start humanity new again, create a utopia, free of pain and free of violence. But they didn't obtain that feat. So why did that happen? It's because we are defined as people from our ability to receive and dish out pain through either words or physical force. Now, the last theme that I was intrigued with by this entire novel was how it relates to our society today. You know, in life, everyone wants to be at the top. No one wants to be at the bottom. Yet it's easier to fall than rise. See, you can do one thing and you can fall from the top. But in order to reach the top, you have to work almost your entire life. And even then, if you're lucky, you'll reach the top. But the majority don't even do it then. You see, this is shown in the Droughtlanders when Seth is banned from the Keys because he was afflicted by the plague. Now, before that, he was a member of the Keyland Guard. I mean, he was high authority, but he just got abandoned in just 1 second. All that work he put into becoming a Keyland, respected member of the Keyland population was gone in a second. A real life example of this, 1929, the big stock market crash, that completely ruined lives. I mean, it's not even debatable how bad that was. People are suiciding themselves because they went from top to bottom. In my own life, I used to be on top for a while. I mean, around top in grade school. And then a bully came around and he sort of ruined that for me. I went right to the bottom, and that was hard to adjust to. I've tried to claw my way back socially. I'm sort of respected. I'm not really sure. It's questionable, debatable. I just know that I'm not